Turn to the side and put your head out. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So just so that everybody knows, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on local cable access and usually on Facebook as well. It is available for people to watch after the fact by going to the website for ECAT and checking out the on-demand. I also want to just ask everyone, select board members, to go around and introduce themselves to ensure that we have a quorum, starting with you, Jamie.
Jamie Stebbins.
Jennifer Stacy.
Mark Lane.
I'm Dottie Fulgenetti.
I'm Craig Barger.
And we have Town Administrator Connor Reed, Assistant Town Administrator Michael Blanchard, and Executive Assistant Elizabeth Hegg. So the first item that we have on the agenda tonight is an announcement and proclamation recognizing our Assistant Town Administrator Michael Blanchard for his work in Easton as he prepares to move on to another position. Connor, if you want to introduce.
Sure, thank you, Dottie. First, I'd like to congratulate Michael for his well-earned success and wish both he and his family the best as he takes his next step in his career to join the town of Dover as its town administrator. Easton's loss is certainly Dover's gain, and as bittersweet as it is for us to say goodbye to someone who's done so much for the town, I'm very happy for you and very proud of everything you've accomplished. Can't read this, I'm sorry. It's hard to believe that this will be the last time we all share this space together, and it's with sincere gratitude that I'd like to take a few moments to thank you and to acknowledge you for your service to Easton and this office in particular in the past 5.5 years. Together, all of us, we've accomplished a lot, we've all lived through a lot. There's 5 corners from sewer, complicated financing projects, national budget awards, the Citizens Academy that you've run expertly, or confronted COVID-19. You've been instrumental in so many of the important projects and milestones that we've all lived through and helped bring Easton forward. And so thinking about tonight, rather than focus on any of those particular things which might have been more obvious, I thought, particularly because I've been in the role as well, I would recognize the more routine and less visible, but no less important functions of the role that you played as the assistant town administrator for so many years. Somewhat ironically, and I think a little bit unfairly, the more capable and successful an assistant town administrator is, the less obvious it may be to folks on the outside that they exist at all. Day in and day out, you help see the effective administration and management of public affairs. You've helped countless small businesses navigate licensing and permitting processes that open their doors. You and Elizabeth put in the time and exact the detail necessary to prepare all the materials for this board, multiple, dozens of times per year. It's not as simple as it sounds tonight. The packet's 433 pages of documentation. When there's a problem that doesn't have any one department or person who's the obviously responsible person to fix it, it goes to you, and you always take it on and get it fixed. And you quietly and kind of out of sight do important work like coordinating information gathering among police, fire, other public safety departments for initiatives like our participation in the opioid litigation settlement so that we can bring resources to the community to help people harmed by the opioid epidemic. But most of all, more than any one project you worked on or managed, I think your attitude and your perpetual optimism is what will be your legacy here. No matter how many things were going on or how hard the road in front of us was, you always brought a smile on your face and a good laugh, reminding us that good things can and will get done if we just keep at it. Colin Powell famously described optimism as a force multiplier, which is something that makes your organization more powerful than its design would otherwise suggest it should be. And we all joke, for me, with more than a small amount of envy, that you're going to work in a place with about a quarter of the population of Easton and you will have a larger staff than our current office here does. And that joke rings true because despite that, we've been able to do so much more than the design of the organization suggests we really, frankly, have any business doing. And that's been in large part thanks to your perpetual optimism. I'd like to personally thank you, not just for your optimism and your excellence for its contributions to Easton, but also for your counsel and friendship as I've navigated my own responsibilities here over the years. Hiring you was one of my first major decisions as town administrator, and I'm very grateful you took us up on that offer years ago and to have been able to share this journey with someone of your skill, integrity, and kindness. And finally, I'd be remiss not to recognize and thank Michael's family, Sue, JJ, and Grace. I hope you all know how much we've loved working with your dad and your husband. all these years, and I want you to know it's not lost on us, that we understand the demands of this office, and that on top of everything Michael had to put into the job, you all had to put a lot in too. There's late nights, weekend emergencies, pandemics, and that took grit and commitment, not just from Michael, but from each of you. So thank you for letting us borrow him these past 5.5 years. He's helped make Easton a great place. He's leaving us in better shape than how he found us, and Michael, I wish you the best. Appreciate it.
Whoever's rudely chopping onions.
So we're gonna start at this end of the table and just all say a couple more things to make you laugh and smile.
Or cry.
Feel so lucky that I get to switch seats with Jen tonight. And thank you to Michael's beautiful family for being here tonight. And I got to tell you, being one of the most junior member on this team, that the most compliments paid to anyone, any town employee, is Michael. So whether it is a permitting that someone's dealing with for the first time and has no idea, heads from tails, what they're doing, call Michael and they get straightened away and they walk away like refreshed that, oh my gosh, this unmanageable task that I had to do was completely brought within my scope and ability. So, but that happens repeatedly. And as Connor mentioned, Connor, you've done a good job throughout Michael's career too to remind us that he's there. Especially when we're in meetings and you're just the face of Easton and you're behind the scenes on a call and nobody sees you, but you're there making things happen when we are missing information at the last minute. You're inserting in, and we've got what we need to make a meeting go smooth and make us actually look like we know what we're doing. These guys know what they're doing, but for me, it's been very helpful to have someone make it look like we are as prepared as we are when we show up here, because as Connor mentioned, it literally is 433 pages tonight. And we receive that, on a Thursday or Friday, and there's a lot of work that goes into everything leading up to prepping us and making sure that when we do set policy that we know what we're doing. So, Michael, thank you. And I just want to let everyone know I was the dissenting vote. I did not agree and did not accept his resignation. And lastly, I told him, you're going to get bored in Dover. It's just too small. I mean, I get it. Maybe there's a lot of great things happening there, but no, congratulations, and we're super, super proud of you and excited for your career progression. And I couldn't be more proud to have gotten to know you and work with you. So thank you. Thank you so much.
There's little I can say that doesn't amplify that, but this is so bittersweet. Like I started to think back the past couple of weeks about how I'm knowing you in the past 5 years and all that's happened in that time. And it's really just incredible to think back both on what you have accomplished in your career, but also the person and the character you brought to every interaction, whether it's working with the board, working with the public, working with the rest of the members of the town, staff. It's just so professional, so human. Like Jamie said, if anybody needs to answer anything, you'll jump in, and we don't know the answer for you. And that's just such a good quality of your kind of leadership you bring to the table. I mean, it's a dream team right here, and it's like taking the leg off of three-legged sweat. It's hard for me to imagine what the future looks like, but I know yours in Dover will be amazing for you, because they are really looking to get you, and it's a tremendous loss for us. So, there's that. But yeah, just it's hard to kind of wrap my head around where things are headed without Michael Blanchard and our daily workings in this board and for the town. But thank you so much, and congratulations to you. Congratulations to your family as you go through this together, this weekly transition. And we'll be watching and ready for you when you want to come back.
It's hard to top all of this, but I'll share my piece. So, Mike, you've been here for 5.5 years. I've been on this board for about 5. I remember. This is very bittersweet because I think we all knew this day was coming, and it didn't take long for us to realize. All of us, I knew we had conversations where Mike's not going to be here forever because he's way too good. He's definitely going to be up running the town as a town administrator. We knew it was coming, and it was weird because we all we appreciate you, we're thankful for you, you do an incredible job, but also want you to realize your full potential. And when I got the note that you were leaving, it was, he still had some a round of interview to go through. But he's going to get it. I know he's going to get it, and I want him to get it. I'm so happy for him. So happy that you did get it. But you know, one of the Connor mentioned earlier that you're behind the scenes, and when you're doing your job so well, nobody notices, and that's so true, especially through COVID because we were all on Zoom. And I remember at one point, one meeting, and everybody's going around and appreciating all these department heads and everybody like, hold on, the only person who wasn't on camera was Mike, and he was running everything. And I remember you turn your camera on, it's like, there's the guy, that's like the Wizard of Oz, he's right there. But you're so humble. You're so humble about everything, which is, I think, one of your greatest virtues is humility. You know, and Jamie had touched on it earlier. The most compliments I've ever received is about you. I hear complaints about a lot of things, compliments, but complaints about a lot of things. You have a 100% success rate. 100% of people who have come to me to talk about the goings on in the town, and your name is in the conversation, it's always, oh my God, Mike Blanchard. When I told people you were leaving, they literally, their head went like that, literally. So you have made an incredible impact on us personally, on this town, your family. Thank you so much for letting us have him for this time. And he's an amazing person to look up to. So you have a wonderful dad and a wonderful husband. Thank you.
Michael, when, as I told you, when you called me to tell me that you were leaving, I had to pick myself up off the floor, and then you flattered me with asking me to be a reference for you. So I was appreciative that you trusted me enough to say good things about you as the young woman called me from the headhunters. And you've been on this journey with me, and as Mark. I started in 2017, which you did almost exactly the same time, and it's been a real pleasure to work with you. As everybody has said, you have been the face behind the scene, but at the same time, whenever there's a crisis or a challenge, and we don't want to deal with it, they call you out. Okay? And you handled it so well. When we did the 2 sewer projects, all during COVID, there were people who were not happy, and you handled it like a real pro. And I very much appreciate that. And I know that I've probably called you more often and talked to you more than I have my wife in the last 5 or 6 years. And you've always been available to answer the questions. If you didn't know the answer, you'd find it out for me. And that's been a real help to me going forward. And I got a kick out of the fact that after our last conversation, first of all, you put up with my sense of humor, which is really good too. I appreciate that. The last conversation we had, at the end of the conversation, it dawned on me like, who the heck am I going to call when Michael leaves? And I said, Michael, what am I going to do when you're gone? And you said to me, Craig, you got my telephone number, call me, I'll make up an answer. So I thought that was really well done. Well done. And I think that my colleagues have hit out on something that's really important, and that is the people in this community, when they interacted with you, they came away feeling like they had been heard and that they'd been helped, and that they weren't dismissed. It was a really very thoughtful thing that you did. And that's a hard thing to do, particularly if somebody is not happy about something that's going on. And believe me, I remember the challenges of the first sewer project, and that meeting we had at the Knights of Columbus. No, it wasn't the Knights of Columbus. It was the DFW, and that was contentious and it was difficult. But you maintained that smile and that interaction, and people felt good about what you did. So I think, as Jen said, Dover is very, very fortunate to get you. And I think that they're going to find that they got a gem. And I appreciate the time that you spent with us. And I wish you all the success in the world.
So you guys left me with nothing. So I'll just say, we've spent a lot of close time together over the years, doing agenda settings and working on projects, and I've never met anybody who has such an even temperament. You don't get stressed, you don't get flustered, no matter what the problem is, it comes forward and you just take it on and you tackle it. Through COVID, especially, we had to move and zig and zag and do all kinds of things, and you really did so much with the technology and the organization and pulling together meetings. It was really just incredible, and it was great to have somebody that I could count on to do that. Can count on you for everything. You've always been dependable, you've always been there, you've always done it with a smile. You laugh at my jokes, which is a big bonus. The age-friendly work is something that will really stick out to me. That was important to me, bringing that to Easton, and you were really on board with that every step of the way, and your public health experience was really beneficial. When I told the committee last week that you were leaving, there were some sad faces and heads hanging down on that as well. So you're definitely going to be remembered and missed, and it'll be tough big shoes for the next person to fill. And I guess the last thing I want to say is Stoughton High really produced some good people. so a lot of Stoughtonians in our community, and as a fellow Stoughtonian, I will always think of that you came from there as well, and wish you all the best, and really grateful for everything that you've done and for your family to be patient as you've had to put in some long hours. So thank you, everyone. We're going to take what?
I have a couple of things. I don't know if I can get through it.
Sorry.
I didn't know if he was going to do that when we came back or not.
I can do it now. If I don't, I can get to it.
All right.
So I'm very humble by the comments in the chat. Thank you very much. And I need to read this because I won't get through it otherwise. Thank you for including my family tonight. Here we go. It's them. It's very special to hear. As was mentioned, it's not a typical 9-to-5 job, which can be difficult on a family, and I'm so grateful for them. Let's you give credit too, all right. Okay, it's not easy to be an elected official, especially this time right now. And Easton's so lucky that despite that, each of you stepped up, took on the challenge, and do incredible work for this community. Dottie, as chair, as you said, we spent more time closely together. And I just want to thank you for your support, encouragement, and leadership. Your commitment to Easton is inspiring and an example I will take with me. Craig, Mark, Dan, and Jamie, I can't thank you enough for all your support. You have my utmost appreciation, respect, and I'm thankful I have the opportunity to work with each of you. As Craig mentioned, I'm at the top of his speed dial, and I will miss your calls and an occasional ribbing. I really feel bad for you, so to help get you through the next couple of months until my replacement is hired, I anticipated your answers to the next few questions. Yes, no, 42, call Dave Fields, October 4th, 2021. Yes, we do have more COVID tests. And no, sorry, we can't do that, I think it might be illegal. Thank you to all of our incredible department heads, staff, board and committee members, and residents of Easton. I have met so many incredible people along the way, and they've all enriched my life and time here in Easton. I'm so appreciative. I know you know, but it's really important because I can say it now without consequence. People can really believe me, the public. You have an amazing group of dedicated and committed employees here. I've had the opportunity to work for a number of communities who come to Easton. They're going to be upset too. And I can assure you, Easton's department heads are second to none. And I'm going to miss them all a lot. I can't talk about our office. I'm going to say that. I am so proud of the work that we've accomplished. You've talked about so much of it. The COVID-19 pandemic makes me feel like I've been here for 20 years. But the SOAR projects, working with Wendy and getting the GFOA award, launching the Easton Citizens Academy, age-friendly status, the opioid settlement, and how cool was it to be part of opening the Random Elementary School. That was really awesome. I gotta say this part. In my letter to Connor, my resignation letter, I just said that it had been my honor and privilege to work for you with Mary Elizabeth. Sorry guys, this is so silly. I thank you for the opportunity to serve on such an amazing team. and words cannot express my respect and admiration for all of you and the mark you've each made professionally and personally in my life. Easton is so fortunate to have you as town administrator. You've been an extraordinary leader. You lead by example. You bring out the best in others, and you create an environment where people feel respected, trusted, and encouraged to grow and take risks. You show up every day and make a difference. I didn't write this in my letter, but best boss I've ever had. It's been a pleasure to work for Easton, and I'll be forever grateful for the opportunity Easton has provided me. Easton is such a special place, and I'm proud of the small role I've played in that. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
So now we're going to take a brief recess. What? Oh, gosh. I'm really not paying attention tonight. The emotion is overcoming me.
A small token of appreciation for you.
Oh, thank you.
You know what it is being attached to this. Michael, on behalf of the Select Board, in consideration of 5 years of professional, exemplary, and committed service to the town of Easton, the town administrator and Select Board extend their most profound thanks and appreciation to you for your dedication to our community.
Does his family want to take a quick?
Okay. Now we're going to take a brief recess for a few minutes. ECAT will be back.
Thank you, Blanchard family.
Yeah.
All right, thank you everyone for giving us a couple of minutes and your patience. We are back. The next item on the agenda is common victualler license transfer, Slice of Greek to Yo Pizza and Roast Beef, 111 Belmont Street. So we have an application to transfer a common victualler license to Yo Pizza and Roast Beef submitted by Amgad Yakub. I apologize if I've mispronounced that. The application's been received and reviewed by town departments, and this would be, if voted, would be with the condition of approval subject to the applicant satisfying the pre-opening inspection requirements and obtaining a new food service permit with the Board of Health prior to opening. Do we have anyone here from Slice of Greek? You want to come up? If you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the change, and it's a good opportunity to tell people watching about your business.
Sure. My name is Amgad Yakub. I been in this business for last 15 years. I had multiple stores prior to that, from Brighton all the way to East Bridgewater, and every town in between pretty much. And I decided to come to Easton. I saw an opportunity to buy at Slice Creek, and I hope you guys provide me with that opportunity.
Excellent. And where is that located for people who aren't familiar?
Well, I had one that's called Andalus in Brighton. I had one in Weymouth. I had one in Rockland, East Bridgewater, and my partner had one in Norton now.
And the one in Easton is?
The one in Easton's gonna be no, that's the new one's gonna be in Easton, hopefully.
Right, and that's on Belmont Street, right?
That's on Belmont Street,
Okay.
111 Belmont Street.
I'm trying to help let people know where you're going to be.
Yes, it's across from Stonehill College.
There we go.
Yeah, it's right next to 99 Restaurant.
Excellent.
So the plaza right next to it.
Great. Okay, anybody have any comments or questions?
Just gonna, how many locations then today? Easton will make how many?
Right now we have only one in Norton, and now we're gonna have the second one here.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a different name in Norton. Roma Pizza.
Anyone else?
Well, just thank you for doing business in Easton.
No, thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take the vote. Craig, would you like to make a motion?
Move to change the victualler license from Yo Pizza, to Yo Pizza and Roast Beef.
Second then.
And this is, again, approval subject to the applicant satisfying the pre-opening inspection requirements and obtaining a new food service permit with the Board of Health prior to opening. So that's Barger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for choosing Easton, and we wish you a lot of success.
Thank you. Hopefully see you again.
Yes. All right, next we have annual board and committee volunteer appointments uncontested. So we have a slate. So should I just go through and read all of these and the terms, or reference them, or?
You can reference them, so we posted the full list of everyone's name, term, and committee of appointment to the agenda, so that we're compliant with the law, so you certainly could read through them. It is a couple of pages of them, though. It's
Yeah, I think with this big of a list, we're not going to, but there are going to be still some seats that we need people for. So once we make these appointments, we're going to update the website, and I'd ask people to take a look at the volunteer section. If you go onto the front page of the website, on the bottom left, there's a blue navigation bar, and you'll see volunteers. Look that up and see what's available, because we're still going to be looking for more volunteers. And we've had some people that have not renewed and retired, if you will. And I just want to give a blanket thanks to everybody that serves on these boards and committees. Easton wouldn't be able to do nearly any of the things that we do without these talented volunteers that really give up a lot of time and expertise for us to serve on these committees. And we're grateful for that. So if somebody would like to make a slate to appoint the uncontested volunteer seats that are noted in the packet.
I move to appoint all uncontested volunteers for terms as prescribed to each committee as listed in the slate.
Second plan.
So that's Bodger and Lamb. And a roll call vote,
Stebbins, Slate.
Stacy Slate.
Lamb, Slate.
full Janetti slate.
Barger, slate.
Excellent. Okay, now the next one is boards and committees volunteer appointments that are contested. So we only have a couple of those. The first one is for the Conservation Commission. We have Ben Carroll, who's the incumbent, Rory Calfelt, who's an incumbent, and Douglas Berenger, who is a new name to us. The Conservation Commission is having a meeting tonight, so they will not be able to be here to interview for that, but I'll read a little bit about them as their profile. And would you like to come up and introduce yourself, and we'll ask you a couple of questions? Yep.
That is 2 seats.
Yes, so
Yes.
there are 2 seats
2
available.
seats available.
And then you have the 2 incumbents reapplying and Berenger is third applicant.
So thanks for being here tonight, Doug. Just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your interest is on the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, my name is Doug Berenger, and I guess I grew up loving the outdoors, hunting, fishing, hiking, and my wife and I and our daughter, we now have 2 daughters, just moved to Easton about 2 years ago, and love the town and just looking to get more involved. So my wife Julie actually volunteered for the Commerce.
The Economic Development Council. Yes.
Okay, Economic Council, thank you. So, you know, we both just decided like we want to volunteer and help where we can and lucky enough also to be neighbors with Mike Spadilla, who is on the, already on the Conservation Committee. So he kind of filled me in when I first moved here, and I said, oh, that's interesting, have heard that before, and that's really cool. And, you know, also him knowing the land around town, he showed me around as well, and just very happy to be a part of a town. And I should have mentioned, we actually bought the house sight unseen. During the pandemic, we lived in Seattle, and
Wow.
actually, you know, at the time, the housing market was so crazy we lost like 5 bids on different houses, and finally got this one, and we came, and there's like a trailhead right behind our house, and it just like, we just fell right into it. It was like, oh, so happy to be here. So, just, you know, again, grew up in the outdoors, and I know Mike kind of explained a little bit about what the committee does with most of their time. And so I wouldn't say I have a background in some of these things, but I know I can lend a hand with some other things relating to the land itself. And I should also mention I'm a big fan, if you will, of Theodore Roosevelt and all that he did for conservation. So that kind of inspired me also to want to do what little bit I could to help in that same vein.
All right, thank you so much. Jamie, I'm going to start with you if you have any questions.
First of all, thank you for, how long have you been in town?
Just about 2 years.
Yeah, so to be already reaching out, and I know it took me about 7 before I had the courage to come out and volunteer and find out what happened behind the curtain. So thank you very much. I think that's very exciting that you're here tonight. And even if, you know, I know Dottie will talk about this later, but even if you're not appointed, there's a lot of opportunity, and you're now getting a glimpse of it, right? All the opportunity on all the different boards, and I think others that would excite you maybe as much as CONCOM does. And so thank you.
I'm not sure if I caught it. What do you do in your for your career?
Yeah, sure. I was trying to keep it short, so I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
I didn't want to get into the weeds, but I'm mainly strength and conditioning, the coaching side of things. So I actually spent a short time at Stonehill over there working with the athletes, but now work full-time online, so working from home. But also did spend 4 years at Seattle University in the kinesiology department as an instructor. So I have some formal teaching as well. And should mention also one class that I did teach that I think relates quite well is physical activity across the lifespan. So in that course, we talked a lot about, and a large part of it was the environment around us really dictates the physical activity that we all get, whether, you know, at any point in the lifespan, right? So as an example, where I grew up in like rural Ohio, there was no sidewalks, so very hard to get any kind of physical activity unless you went to a gym or something, which was far removed. So again, very lucky, and you all just did the sidewalk project, which was also great to see. So that kind of ties into wanting to help again with whatever land projects there are, and preserving property for say more physical activity or what have you.
Thank you.
Excellent. My only question is, are you aware of the time commitment, and does that affect you in any way?
I am not aware of how much time it would be, but
I think it's every 2 weeks and sometimes more. It can get intense at times.
sure. No, I'm not, because other than the day job, I don't have anything extra right now, and I kind of knew that going into this. I didn't know the exact amount of time, but I knew it would be some time.
Excellent, thank you.
Greg?
I don't have any questions, I just want to thank you very much for stepping up.
I'm curious if you've watched any of the meetings and seen how they work and the dynamics of the group.
I did. I watched. I think it was maybe the most recent one on YouTube, and had a few projects to do with sewers, I believe, and one was on the Holy Cross property. I think they own part of the property over at Stonehill. So I'm not trained in the process, but I think that on the website I saw there were some trainings that you could take.
Yes.
And such. So.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend that for boards and committees where there is training available, that people take advantage of that, because some of these boards, they have a lot of legal standing, and you really have to know the rules. There's a lot of things that you have to learn to be on that. I guess what I am feeling, like, to go right into deliberation. So Rory is currently the chair. He's been the chair for a few years, and he's really probably the most knowledgeable on the board, and has a lot of experience in that. Ben Carroll is the second one with like the most amount of experience. It's very hard to fill those seats, and when we have somebody that comes forward, I don't want to take somebody with a lot of experience that's doing a good job and move them out of it. Yet, I don't want to miss an opportunity for somebody who's interested in that. And there are changes on these boards as we go through. Every few months, people move around a little bit. I would rather have you learn a little bit more about that committee, because it's a big commitment, and it's a big time commitment. It's a big commitment to the term, and I'd really feel better if you learned a little bit more about the committee and still felt like that, and went to some of the meetings, more of the meetings, to learn about it, and
Sure.
and then we looked at it again.
Okay.
It's not that I don't think that you would do a good job, but like I said, it's really hard to get the experience. So to take somebody out of it that's doing a good job already is not the best way that I like to do it.
Yeah. No, that makes
So,
perfect sense.
I don't know if anyone else on the board has any differences
I
on
was
that.
just going to say that you're up against a tough docket. It just happens to be that those two are the terms that are up in a rare committee right now that doesn't have either an opening or, so there's, I agree, attending, whether it's maybe not just that committee, go to some of the other boards and committees and attend those, and you might find just other niches. And as Dottie mentioned, even during an individual's term, a lot of times they move, or commitments come up, their work-life balance a little out of whack, and they leave those boards and committees. So we're constantly looking for people even throughout the year outside of their terms.
Okay. So just I'm sorry, I was gonna say, you had mentioned just check back.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up with you after the meeting to talk with you a little bit more about, to get a feel for some of the things that might be a good fit while we wait for that position.
Absolutely.
So I'll,
As you said as well, Doug, there will be after tonight some boards where folks did not necessarily reapply. There should be numerous vacancies across, we have more than a dozen different boards, so that may be.
Sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, it's all good. I only share this anecdote because I think there's some power behind it. You know, when I got involved in local government, I went for an appointment for finance committee and showed up to the meeting, one slot, 3 candidates, and the other 2 were amazing. And I didn't get appointed that night, but here I am, stuck with it, found the right role, got on finance committee, and proud of me serving with these amazing people now. So, it's the opportunity's there. It's just a matter of the timing and right alignment. So. You have a fantastic background, and I love that eagerness to serve, so thank you.
I just appreciate the fact that you've only been here 2 years and already you're jumping, right? And your wife jumped in too, which I think is really significant.
Really awesome.
So I really think that's very awesome, so thank you very much for that.
And your community commitment is comes across very strong, so keep at it. It just so happens that you picked one of 2 committees that are contested, and the 2 people that's contested with, they are rock stars, and the town leans on them heavily. And it's Concom is extremely dense material, and you're making heavy decisions that really impact people. So, as Dottie mentioned, going to a meeting and watching, if that is still a board that you're interested in, then watch the meetings, attend the meetings, ask questions, get more into it, because if those guys get moved out of it, and there's a learning curve too. Even once you get on, it's years of a learning curve. I think even though Ben's the second longest on there, he's only been on a couple years, so he's just coming into his own at the same time too. So it's nothing against you whatsoever. I encourage you to keep going, because I was there at that meeting with Jen. And then 2 years later, she ran for the select board.
It was select board, right?
Yeah, I was like, look, see what happens.
First election, a couple months later,
that's right.
so things happen.
See, there you go.
Persistence.
so you might be running for select board in a couple of years, is basically what he's saying. He's like, I'm not coming back to this again. All right, well, thank you. So, I think what it looks like is we'll take a vote, and Craig, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I move that we reappoint Benjamin Carroll and Lori Kaufhaus to the Conservation Commission.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Bodger and Lamb, and Jamie, if you want to vote Slate,
Yeah, Stebbins Slate.
Stacy Slate.
Lamb, Slate.
Full Genetti Slate.
Barger, Slate.
Thank.
Can I make one more comment?
Of course.
Just Doug, to you is, so 3 of us up here have young families like you do too, and that makes us extra exuberant about you being here tonight, because that's important that we reach all the demographics, right? We're trying to diversify, and it does help when we have young families move to town like yours, and you want to have your voice heard. So thank you again. I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
And I'll be in touch with you, Doug. Okay, and the next one we have is the Green Communities Committee, and we have 2 candidates for that. One is Christina Refford, and Christina has served on the committee for quite a while. She is a library assistant at Raynham Public Library, and she served on the committee since 2018. She's been the chair for the past few years. In the past, she's volunteered for a homeschooling co-op, an animal shelter, the Moms Club of Easton, and has worked in marketing and media. I'll just say that Christina has really stepped up the role of the Green Communities. She's really tried to work with other boards and committees, the DPW, the library, about bringing education, about all kinds of environmental concerns, water, recycling, and she's done a really great job at that. Who's on the Green Communities? You, Jamie?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to say anything about?
Yeah, I do. And this is another tough one, because I think the candidate, we're going to meet the other candidate here tonight for Green Communities. Great, Jason. Yes. Great, Jason. I look forward to meeting you here in a minute. I'm going to speak on Christina's behalf because she is unable to be here, I believe, working tonight. She's working nights at the library in Raynham. New position for her, but just the talent in this committee she's transformed it, as Dottie mentioned. It had a mission that changed dramatically, and the DPW kind of picked up some of the heavy lifting and ran with it. And so we were left with kind of like, well, what do we do now? And Christina was just very thoughtful in figuring that out, reaching out to everyone, meetings with Connor, meetings with Dottie, meetings with the DPW to try to say, hey, we need to envision what we are and what we're going to do. And she's making some strides in things that I'll just say she's going to try to get across the goal line here in the next 6 to 10 months. She's been an incredible leader. We have some dynamic folks on the committee today that if you're not a strong leader, it can be difficult in 1 hour to try to do what we try to do once a month. So Christina is really kind of in the glue for this one.
So would you like to come up and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Jason Cruz. Recently moved to town a couple of years ago as well. Also have a young family, and ironically grew up in Rainham, not within walking distance of the library. I'm actually also had the pleasure of talking with Christina because my day job is the conservation director at Self-Helping. We help all families that qualify as being income eligible in 32 towns and communities in and around Brockton, Easton being one of them, help them with weatherization, emergency heating system services, heating system replacement, more recently, air source heat pumps, starting to install those into homes, along with light bulbs and occasionally appliance replacements when the appliances that a current client currently has, such as an old refrigerator, qualifies to be replaced with a new, more energy efficient model. So, I've been doing that for the past 5 years, and for that had a history in insurance adjustment, property maintenance, and restoration with ServPro. So dealing with buildings and dealing with a number of these different things, something I've got a little bit of a history of. And one day I was scrolling through the Twitter feed and the town came up and it said something about boards, and I clicked on it and saw what it was and saw the Green Community Boards, not knowing that it might be Christina's chair that was the one that was coming up, and thought, you know what, there's a small section of what they do that is what I deal with on a daily basis, and we administer work through both the utilities and what's now the Department of Housing and Livable Communities, excuse me, which used to be DHCD. They just changed their name in the past month or so. So we deal with administering government grants for weatherization, for the LIHEAP program, and the HARTWAP program is what we actually focus on, heating assistance, helping people when they get home, they qualify for the program. My heat's out, they can call us, we'll send one of our contractors over, let's see what's going on, and we'll wind up taking the next steps from there. So we deal with a number of different things on a daily basis, and the business that we do as an agency has expanded greatly over the past couple of years. Since the state's signed on to become carbon neutral in 2050, and there's goals for 2030 as well. The goals for the agency serving people who qualify under the guidelines has increased a lot. We've gone from doing approximately $3 million worth of utility work in our communities about in 2021. This year we're projecting north of $9 million worth of work and investment in the communities for our eligible clients. I think it's going to continue to grow. It wouldn't be surprising to do $12 to $15 million over the course of the next few years, and there may be potential growth from there depending on what the utilities are looking at, because they're targeting that goal towards 2050 of being able to get heat pumps in homes to be able to reduce the carbonization in the community and weatherize the homes, because whether you're heating with a heat pump or you're heating with an oil system or a gas system, the weatherization is going to help reduce that footprint in the energy need. So I look at it as a great opportunity for all of our communities to become more energy independent as a nation by being able to conserve it and use it effectively.
That's great. Well, we were the recipient of these mini splits with the heat pumps through Green Communities Grant recently, and Easton was one of the first communities to really take advantage of the Green Communities Grant program. We've done really well with that, and we've been a leader in that area. We really strive to do everything that we can to conserve energy. We recently did an energy aggregation over the past couple of years for our people that live in town, so that they can save money on their electric. We also worked with a off-site solar array to be able to have people be able to buy into that as well, and a number of energy saving programs here. We just built the brand-new elementary school. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Blanche A. Ames Elementary School, and that is one of the most energy-efficient schools and municipal buildings that we have. And right now, we're also looking at doing 3 new municipal buildings for police, fire, and DPW. And we're working on that program. You'll be hearing a lot more about that coming up. What I'm thinking of is there is an opening on the Municipal Buildings Committee. There's a vacant space on that. And so that might be a good fit for you as well if you like buildings and mechanics and things like that. I'd love to talk with you more about that to see as well after.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's something that would interest you.
Part of my history too was I grew up after going to college in the long-term care industry. And the group I was with was a group that would take over a lot of deficient properties that weren't in great shape. One of them actually here at one point in time was up on Lincoln Street. I was with the group that did the build out at the front of the Southeast Rehab.
Okay.
I wasn't directly involved in that project. I was actually running a facility out in Western Mass that catered to veterans with mental health issues. We did quite a bit of work to that building. I think we put almost $2 million worth of capital improvement into that building before it wound up becoming moved on to a different owner. So between that and a number of other things that we deal with on a daily basis in previous work lives and through the insurance history that I have and what I currently do, yeah, that sounds like there may be a really good fit there.
All right, because again, it's hard to take somebody off a committee, especially somebody who's been the chair for several years, but we see, recognizing new people, new faces, new talents, and people willing to contribute. So we're not going to let you get away that easy.
All right.
So we'll just let me give you. I'll reach out to you after this and talk about a couple of scenarios. And when I see what the other openings are, the other one that I'm thinking of is the Affordable Housing Trust. I think would be something really of interest to you as well. We don't have openings on that right now, but that we keep this in the back of our mind should things come up as well. So I'll reach out to you on that.
Okay, sounds
All
great.
right. Craig, do you want to make a motion?
I want to thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Could I just mention something as well?
Sure.
So until Dottie said the Municipal Buildings Committee, you would have made this an exceptionally hard decision because you are outrageously qualified for the Green Committee. He would be amazing on it. I wish there was more open spots, but please take her up on that Municipal Building Committee because you would crush it.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to do that. And like I said, just want to let everybody know, having been in contact with Christina before, and I completely understand when you've got strong people in spots that are meant for them, don't mess with something that's working.
But you are
that makes a lot of
outrageously
sense.
qualified as well.
Because the reality is, I'm still here as a resource for the community, whether it's something where they thought it belonged on the board or not.
Well, that's a good point. Even if people who aren't officially on a committee, the public is welcome at all these meetings. Before I was involved in anything, I went to so many zoning board meetings that the staff thought I was on committees. Literally, I got invited to things because they thought I was on some kind of board or a committee because I used to go to everything and learn about it and participate in it. You can give your opinions and your comments and your expertise. So feel free to join the green communities, when time permits for you and contribute, and I'm sure that they would love that as well.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea too.
Great.
So I move that we appoint Christina Refford to the Green Committees Committee with a 3-year term ending June 30th, 2026.
Second, Land.
So that's Barger and Lamb, and that's a roll call vote.
Stebbins, Redford.
Stacy Redford.
Land Refford.
Full Genetti Refford.
Barger Refford.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Jason,
Yeah,
and I'll be in
Jason,
touch with
thank
you.
you so
Really
much.
appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me tonight.
We'll see you around.
All right, next item up is discussion and vote for the Blanche A. Ames Early Elementary School purchased direct digital control system for HVAC for Control Technologies Incorporated.
Sure, thank you, Dottie. Attached to your packet is a memo from Director of Operations for Schools, David Twombly, regarding this contract. This would purchase a direct digital control system for the HVAC system at Blanche Ames that is compatible with the existing schools and DPW's were they would glare at me if I got that wrong, but I think that covers it. It's a sole source because you want to have interoperability of systems with the existing infrastructure. It's funded out of the school project budget, so we recommend approval.
And it's 39,800?
So
Okay. Any comments or questions?
that's correct. Sorry, I'm saying that's correct, the price.
All right, no comments or questions then? Craig, would you like to make a motion?
So I move that we approve the contract for $39,800 for integrate the direct visual control system for the HVAC system at Blanchard's Elementary School.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Excellent. All right, next on the agenda is a discussion and vote for the Bristol County Retirement Cost of Living Adjustment. Linda, you want to come up?
While Linda comes up, she and I were speaking earlier today, so one of the documents in your package should make note that a certain number, I think 2/3 of the communities vote affirmatively, it gets adopted, so we were notified today that that has happened. So,
It's kind of neat.
yes, but Linda did a thoughtful financial analysis of this, and I figured, we may as well have it available for the board to talk about and.
Thank you.
Take a position on rather.
But also, I think it's important to,
Support
well,
us.
why don't you do your presentation first and then I'll make my comment.
Right, so the cost of living adjustment, there was a 3% initial cost of living adjustment voted on by the board at the beginning of fiscal year '23. So that is a done deal, but then midway through the year, the board had to, or brought up the subject of an additional 2%. That additional 2% needs to be voted on by the member units, and has to be passed by a 2/3 vote. Wendy and I had gone over the numbers and the impact to our fiscal year '24 budget, which is where it would come into effect. And the impact is minimal compared to the budget, $12,882 in fiscal year '24. And that is before any consideration for the early payment premium that we take each year. We pay our assessment every year by July 1st, and that amounts to about a $100,000 savings to us for paying it all in one lump sum instead of semi-annually. So that $12,000 figure is before any additional consideration for the early payment premium that we get. I did include a review that the Bristol County Retirement Board had done, and they went through a lot of numbers. They mentioned a base earnings increase, which is already a done deal. It's $18,000 for fiscal year '23, it's $20,000 for fiscal year '24. That's been voted on, it's a done deal. So there was more information we really needed, especially given that now this vote is something that Easton should go on the record as voting up or down, but the vote has, the majority, or the 2/3 required vote has already been received.
I just want to add for anyone at home or in the audience, so when we're talking about this is for the county retirement pension system that past employees, current employees pay out of their wages into. We basically make catch-up payments for prior actuarial studies that missed remark on how much that defined benefit would cost. Our annual payment out of this budget is between $8 and $9 million. And when we're talking about a 3 versus a 5% cost of living, which is obviously in excess of 2.5 and what we have with our labor units, it only applies to the first 18,000 of pension. So whether somebody is a retired pensioner who didn't put in enough years or their salary was not sufficiently high to put them in a higher level of retirement income, whether their annual retirement income is 40 grand, 60 grand, 100 grand, this cost of living is only applied to the first 18,000. So the additional 2% is a few hundred bucks.
And it's only for fiscal year '23.
And it's only for one, yeah. I just think that's important, because when folks hear that, they probably think, I didn't get a 5% COLA at my job this year, and that's fair, most people don't. But this is only for the first portion of that fixed income for retirees.
Anybody have any questions?
No, I needed that explanation. Thank you.
No questions.
No questions.
I just want to say that you did a really great job of the information that you put in the packet, and you always do a great job explaining it. But I think it is important for us to vote on it because it will say how the how the board feels about supporting our retirees. And I know nobody's going to get rich off of this small increase, but it is, I feel like it's important for us to definitely take a vote on it, so. So with that, Craig?
I move to approve a COLA increase of 2% on the first, is it $20,000 or $18,000? $18,000 for fiscal year '23.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Excellent, thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
All right, item 7, discussion and vote DPW contracts.
I think there's 12.
So it's DPW night tonight.
That's for everybody.
Dave Field, Director of Public Works.
Greg Swan, Deputy Director of Public Works.
So every year we do about 30 to 35 contracts, so you're just lucky enough to have a lot of them tonight.
Just under the fiscal year.
Just speak fast.
Done.
So the first one is Amendment 03, WAT 2021-01 for the water treatment plant design, add PFAS treatment and environmental partners group.
Yes, this is amendment number 3 with Environmental Partners. The reason for this is the new federal mandate, proposed federal mandate that with PFAS lower than the current 20 parts per trillion through DEP. So this is a PFAS preparedness study to get us on the right track to our pilot study for wells 357. We previously did not need PFAS treatment there, but under the proposed regulations we will. So this will get us going to start the procurement and design to add that to the existing treatment plant. We did look at that plant and we built in room for future PFAS treatment. We just didn't think it would be
This fast, yeah.
so this is an amendment for $249,300, and it's going to be it was appropriated at town meeting this past May.
Okay, any comments or questions?
Let's get through it.
No? Okay, Craig, you want to make a motion?
I move that we approve amendment 03, WAT 2021-01, amount of $249,300.
Second, Lamb.
It's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Excellent. So the next one is Amendment 2 for DPW 2021-19, Foundry Street Design, the Engineering Corp.
Yes, this is an amendment for TEC to continue the design of the Foundry Street corridor. If you can recall, I was in earlier this year for a small amendment, amendment number 1. That was to get through Mass DOT comments for preliminary drawings. That was met with success. This is the next stage in the project. This will take us through 25% drawings, and this is really the backbone of the project to tell us what the scale and scope of this particular undertaking is going to take. We have 3 culverts, 2 intersections, existing intersections on both ends. We have to analyze a possible intersection at Quanticut and Foundry, and we have 1.2 miles of roadway that we have to widen and add a sidewalk on the north side and a shared use path on the south side of the roadway. This will drastically change the scope and shape of Foundry Street in this corridor. The total amendment is for $495,000. One part is for a NASWORKS grant that the planning department secured for this, and the other remaining balance is going to be used paid for with mitigation funds. DPW recommends.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
The only comment is this has all been planned. We all want this so that public's watching. The reason why there aren't a lot of questions, just approving these massive sums of money is because we've been talking about it for years. So that's why it's moving quickly, considering what's one.
It's to do Depot Street on Foundry Street.
Right, yeah. May I say something? Is if we anticipate this phase to, at a minimum, take 12 months. It's a very complicated process. We have to do, the big one is the 3 designs for the 3 culverts. This is not something that we can just pull off the shelf. They have to do the due diligence, not only with the structural aspect of it, but there's a conservation and wetland aspect impact that has to be planned for.
For non-engineers, culverts are functionally small bridge crossings.
Correct.
So I think if you're not on Foundry Street on foot, which most people aren't because it doesn't have sidewalks yet, you might not even be able to drive in the water. There have been multiple places. I mean, the Jayla sign, that's pretty obvious, but
2 of the culverts were laid in what, 1870?
Yeah, they're granite. They're basically
dry laid, no
dry-laid
mortar.
granite.
So
solid return. So that was
Correct.
All right, excellent. Craig?
I move to approve amendment number 2, DPW 2021-19, Foundry Street Design, in the amount of $495,000.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Amendment number 2 for DPW 2022-23, on-call water main design with Ty and Bond.
So in an ongoing effort to improve the town of Easton's infrastructure, this is amendment number 2 for Ty and Bond. Amendment number 1 was for, well, the original contract amendment number 1 was for design and construction services for the Foundry Street water main replacement. We upgraded an existing 8-inch at the time to a 12-inch water main. This is in a similar vein, is we've identified an area in town, Bay Street, Jenny Lynn Street, Reynolds Street, and Barrow Street. Some of those mains are from the 19th century. We're going to remove and replace those. And this is the contract that will have Ty and Bond prepare design plans and construction service, design plans and bidding services to get this into the hands of the qualified contractor. It was part of the capital budget item for $1.5 million, past town meeting. DPW recommends.
Excellent. Any comments or questions from the board? I'm really happy to see that we're doing this. This is really important. Craig, you want to make a
So I
motion?
move to approve amendment number 2, DPW 2022-23, the on-call water main design, in the amount of $162,000.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. So let's talk about those signs. This is like getting the most buzz out of anything that we've heard, and every time it's like another one pops up when I drive by, so they're so cool, really getting a lot of excitement.
Everybody's positive about it. It's terrific.
Excellent. So the next item is DPW contract 2023-14, Easton Wayfinding signage change order number 1. As part of the original scope for the project, we identified a series of signs in town that we would like to include. Once the bids came in and we realized that we had sufficient funding to include some additional signs, we met with the contractor sign design and we identified several signs that we would like to have, but we're not going to install right now because, such as the town office's sign, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a gorgeous sign. We don't want to replace it. However, if there was a, God forbid, a car accident, or if during one of our windstorms or a snowstorm something happened to that sign, we would now have one that we can install using town forces.
Yeah.
And this will be for Easton Town offices, Frothingham Hall. The Garden Club sign that's referenced is, we're going to keep that as a, Garden Club sign is not owned by the town, it's owned by the Garden Club. It would be a welcome to Easton sign, thank you for visiting, that you may have seen on the borders around town. However, if one of those other signs is damaged and needs to be replaced, we would use this as a filler at that time, so it's an auxiliary sign. The Alley Park sign would go up where the existing sign is now for the playground.
Okay, excellent. I think that's a very thoughtful way to do it. Some of those signs have sentimental value, and I think it's a very thoughtful way. Any other comments, questions,
The
Jamie?
question was, what are they made out of and what's the life expectancy? Should no damage other than weather?
The signs are made out of aluminum. We anticipate them lasting. The signs themselves are painted.
So they're painted aluminum, it's not etched, it's painted aluminum?
Yes,
Okay.
and then however long depends on. I can't say that the lettering on each sign is going to last for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years because they're positioned differently. The amount of sun it takes, wear and tear.
Yeah, no, that's all I was curious.
Off the top of my head, I don't have the number off the top of my head what the warranty is, but I can find that out easy enough.
But at some point, we will need to redo those signs, and the basically the aluminum blank is very thick, and they can be resheathed.
But as I say, we have like the designs on them, we can do small repairs in the house.
Correct.
Versus
Excellent.
Great. All right, Craig? You want
Move to approve change order number 1, DPW 2023-14, wayfind maintenance signage, for the amount of $14,308.94.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. So the next one is DPW 2023-24, operation and maintenance of Northeastern Village wastewater treatment plant and sewer pump stations to Weston and Sampson.
Thank you. This is a annual contract for the operation and maintenance of the Northeastern Village wastewater treatment plant as well as the schools. The schools are executing their own contract for the school wastewater treatment plant. We did an RFP this past May, and Weston Sampson was our only bidder, but also our unanimous choice. Contract is $115,800 and has provisions for 2 one-year extensions.
Okay. Any comments or questions here? They've done a really good job for us.
That 115.8 is just for the northeastern.
Correct.
School has
The school's a separate, a slightly different price, and that's executed by the schools.
Move to approve DPW 2023-24 operation and maintenance of northeastern wastewater and village treatment plant sewer pump, $115,800.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Next one, DPW 2023-27, the reconstruction of Oliver Ames High School tennis, basketball, and pickleball courts. Lawrence Lynch.
So as part of our ongoing effort to help the schools with some of their projects, they had approached us a year and a half, 2 years ago about reconstructing the tennis courts. The life expectancy of that tennis court and the basketball courts is over. They're about 30 years old, 28, they were built in 1995, 96, and it's time to replace them. The school department got a grant to the CPC for $1,598,000. We put a bid out, and we have Lawrence Lynch as the lowest qualified bidder for the project. They're going to install a reinforced concrete tennis court. That will minimize the amount of maintenance the DPW will have to perform on it in the future. I've been told it will be here for a very long time. We're in the process, in addition to the tennis courts, we're going to resurface the basketball courts, which have failed. Smooth playing surface, so if anybody's been out there, there's areas that are suspect, may cause injury to players, which we don't want to see. We're going to convert one of the basketball courts out there to pickleball courts with this demand of the rising popularity of the sport. We're going to add 4 courts, 3 pickleball courts and 1 ADA compliant pickleball court at that location for school. The schools will have jurisdiction over it, but I'm sure that they will come to some sort of agreement with the public about when they can use it, when they're not using it. Yep, the total contract will be $1,540,000. In working with the school department, they will cover any contingency. Usually we like to go into carrying this type of project with a 10% contingency. The school department will cover, schools will cover any over the CPC requested amount to cover anything that comes up.
Just to correct me if I'm wrong, by DPW, outside of assisting with construction administration, you actually designed
Yes.
this project.
We surveyed it, we designed it, we put it out to bid. This is an entirely in-house project that we were able to do.
And I think that's worth noting because when Dave started as director of public works 12 years ago, we had 0 engineers in the department. We don't have 3, only 2 tonight. So not only does that add a lot of value for construction oversight, but it allows us to stay in-house services routinely from 6 figures plus.
If you use the general rule of thumb, it's 10% from construction costs. This would have cost the schools anywhere from $100,000 to $160,000 for the site fees.
Wow.
So thank you, Dave, for and that.
Excellent. All right. Any comments, questions?
Just one question was Lawrence Lynch. Do we have experience working with them in the past, or is this?
I personally don't, but they're a well-known and reputable contractor. They have a sub-consultant, which is
Cape and Island.
Cape and Island.
So Cape and Island is really the only people who do reinforced tennis courts, reinforced concrete tennis courts, and they're going to be doing that portion of the job. Lawrence Lynch I've worked with previously before I came to Easton. They're well known. They have excellent, excellent references. I don't have any hesitation recommending them for this.
All right.
I move to approve DPW 2023-27 reconstruction of high school tennis, basketball, and pickleball courts for the amount of $1.54 million.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Bodger and Lamb. All in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have DPW 2023-28 for pavement management services to the Beta Group.
Yes, this is a contract for Beta Engineering, who we previously used for these services in 2013 and 2018. Beta will go out and analyze all of our roadway segments in town, assigning an RSR value to each of them. We then turn around and use this calculation, this number in our calculation to determine pavement management program that's presented to you annually. We're going to be paying for this particular project out of Chapter 90 funds, and we recommend it.
Okay, any comments or questions?
I'm gonna move to approve DPW 2022-28 pavement management services bid in the amount of
$32,000.
$32,000.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have DPW 2024-025, 2024 Chevrolet 2500 HD Silverado trucks with accessories from Liberty Chevrolet.
Yes, this is, we replaced 5 trucks with 2500 class Silverados of various outfitting for buildings and grounds, highway, and water. It's being purchased from the Plymouth County Commissioners procurement contract. Total price is $430,783.81, and it's going to be funded through approved capital and encumbered snow and ice funds.
Okay. Any comments, questions? This is something else that's been on the capital list for a while.
Yes, part of our annual vehicle replacements.
Well, I'm taking note of Mark's comment before, because I think it is a legit comment that when we roll through these, we know they're coming, we've seen them, they've already been appropriated at town meeting or other things, but if you're tuned in tonight for the first time, you'd be like, wow, they're spending money like crazy tonight. So, I appreciate your comment on that, Mark.
Move to approve DPW 2024-025 2024 Chevrolet 2500 HD Silverado truck with accessory. Total amount of $430,783.81.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Next, we have DPW 2024-05, upfitting a new cab and chassis, J.C. Madigan.
This is a contract for upfitting of a new Peterbilt 6-wheel cab and chassis. That is being provided under a separate contract that will be coming before you in a future meeting. This upfitting is providing all the bodies, plows, liquid sprayers, underbody plow, all the accessories that come with a truck of that size. It's being purchased under the Greater Boston Police Council procurement contract. The total price is $205,575. It will be funded through approved capital and encumbered snow and ice.
Okay, any comments, questions? Okay.
Move to approve DPW 2024-05, outfitting a new cab and chassis, J.C. Madigan, in the amount of $205,575.
Second, Lamb.
Bodger, Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Next, 2 more. We have DPW 2024-06 for landfill monitoring for CDM Smith.
So this is our annual contract for operation and maintenance of our landfill, including the operating of our flare, which burns off hazardous methane that's generated by the landfill, and the environmental monitoring that's required under our permit with DEP. The contract value for this year is $65,000. These services are exempt from procurement under Chapter 30B, but we did choose CDM from an RFP in 2014.
Okay, great. Any comments or questions on that?
We don't recycle any of the gas that comes out, we don't utilize
It burns. No, we don't have any infrastructure at this point to recycle, and our methane generation is waning as the landfill ages. So I don't think we have really much opportunity for a beneficial reuse at this location.
How much more is this than last year? I mean, I only ask because every year it's like the same.
Yeah, it's that's a good question. I believe last year was 63.
Okay.
It did go up. It did go up a lot. I think when I started 12 years ago, it was 55,000 or 57,000.
I just recall it being.
CDM's been very good with us. If there's major repairs, we actually will fund that out of the DPW budget. This is basically the operation and maintenance, and that they identify any deficiencies we have.
So I move to approve DPW 2024-06 landfill monitoring with CDM Smith in the amount of $65,000.
Second, Lamb.
Barger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. And last, the DPW 2024-07 Unionville Pickleball Court Noise Screening at Acoustic Block Incorporated.
Sure. The pickleball courts is all Unionville have been unnaturally popular. They are used an extraordinary amount of time. Noise screening was not part of the initial engineer's design, not Mortimer's design. And since it's gone live, there's been some concerns from voters about sound, pickleball, plowing, and so there was some excess funding from the CPA grant and initial town meeting allocation. And so Public Works spoke with the CPA committee, and the committee's authorized up to $50,000 for additional sound screening, and so this would purchase some vertical noise screening. Not trying to overrepresent that it makes all sound go away, it doesn't, but it should help mitigate some of that sound for the direction of others.
This is a sole source procurement. They're the only people that make this product. We're recommending a contract with Acoustablock for $31,659,082.
How fast are they?
What's that?
How fast are they?
They're ordered. We're just trying to. Hopefully, they'll be here in a few weeks.
Public Works will be installing them, and I think the necessary supports so that they can be hung properly have already been installed.
Yeah, we reinforced the fencing so it'll hold the
So one of the things I think that's important for people to know, and if anybody who lives in that vicinity is watching that, is that when these popular things come up, whether it's PFAS filters or things that everybody is getting at the same time, sometimes it's very hard to procure them, and there's long lead times in general on most things at this point now, as people know if they're trying to buy anything for their home or not. I think that this is a reasonable amount of time, and I think that the DPW and the CPA acted very quickly on this when they realized it was something that was really kind of unforeseen. I know that some of the neighbors are understandably upset that their environment has changed, but I'm very pleased with the way that it's being handled and done as quickly as possible. So, thank you.
Move to approve DPW 2024-07 Unionville Court Noise Screening, amount of $31,659.82.
Second,
Barger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Excellent.
That's it for us.
Thank you so much. We have a lot of signing to do. Have a good night. All right, number 8, the discussion and vote for board appointment of select board members to representative committees. So I will go through this list, and whoever is the current representative, we'll see how good a memory I have on this. For the Affordable Housing Trust, Jen, you are the select board representative to the, how do you like that?
I like it, and I'd like to continue serving if possible.
Excellent. It's a great committee,
It really is
and
fantastic.
they're doing amazing work.
Yeah, and I'm just constantly impressed by professionalism and the stuff work they're doing, so I'd love to continue to be part of that.
Does anybody have any objections or want to wrestle Jen for the role?
I'll win. So. Maybe not get Jimmy, but.
All
I'll
right,
make a motion to appoint Jen Stacy to the Affordable Housing Trust.
I'll second that motion.
Lamb and Barger, and that would be a roll call vote.
Stebbins, Stacy.
Stacy.
Lamb Stacy.
Full Janetti, Stacy.
Barger Stacy.
Excellent. The Age Friendly Advisory Committee, that would be me, and I'm happy to serve, but also if somebody else wants to serve, they're welcome to.
I nominate Dottie to serve on the Age Friendly.
Second, Lamb.
All right, that's Barger and Lamb.
Stebbins, Forginetti.
Stacy Fulgenetti.
Lamb Fulgenetti.
Full Janetti.
Barger Fulgenetti.
All right. The Budget Subcommittee, this one is going to be tricky for me. Oh, the Audit Committee. That one is you, Mark?
Yeah, I'll continue serving.
I
Awesome.
nominate Mark Lamb for the audit committee.
And do you want to second that, Jamie?
I'll second.
So that's Barger and Stebbins, and roll call vote.
Stebbins, Lamb.
Stacy Lamb.
Lamb.
Full Janetti Lamb?
Barger Lamb.
Okay. Next, Budget Subcommittee. That's Craig.
No.
No? Oh,
It's true.
Jamie
The
and Jen.
rookies.
But I'm not doing it with Michael's face.
I didn't think about
I
that.
know, right?
Yeah,
He's
this might
been
change my whole
He's been
calculus.
the foundation of our success there. I know. Helps.
Well, I appreciate you both for serving on that, and your experience on the Finance Committee certainly helps. So,
I was gonna say, I'd like to continue. I'm currently the vice chair, and Jackie Wiseman is the chair, and it's a nice compliment. She's great. But I won't serve if Jen's not.
I will continue as well.
I'll nominate
That's-
Stacy and Stebbins for the budget subcommittee.
Second.
all right, we'll do that as a slate.
Stebbins Slate.
Stacy Slate.
Lamb Slate.
Full Janetti slate.
Roger Slate.
Excellent. All right, Economic Development Committee. So this one is Mark and me. I am not going to be able to be on this anymore because my new job. This committee meets during the day at 11 o'clock on Thursdays, once every few months, and I can't do it with my new job. So
How about Mark with your new job?
I can still do it because it's online, and it also in the past 6 months or so it's changed a bit, so it's slowed down, and our focus is a little more. We're more focused on one certain thing, so it's not as much as it was a year ago.
yeah,
I'd be happy to step in.
Oh,
for
excellent.
my friend Mark.
thank you very much.
So I would like to motion for both Mark and Greg.
Second.
So that's Stebbins and Stacy for Lamb and Barger, and if you want
And
to
Stebbins Slate.
Stacy Slate.
Lamb Slate.
Full Janetti slate.
Roger Slate.
Excellent. Green Communities, that is Jamie, right?
Yes, it is, and at the pleasure of the board, I would like to continue to serve.
Excellent. Well, you're doing a good job on there, so Craig, you want to make a motion?
I move that we reappoint Mr. Stebbins.
Second.
That's Barger and Lamb.
Stebbins.
Stacy Stebbins.
Lamb Stebbins.
Full Janetti Stebbins.
Roger Stebbins.
Excellent. And the Human Rights Committee, Craig, you have certainly grown into that role there and been really valuable with the human rights.
Thank you. I'd love to be continuing.
You're great at it, and I make a motion to nominate you for the Human Rights Committee.
Second, Stebbins.
So that's Lamb and Stebbins.
Stebbins Barger.
Stacy Barger.
Lamb Barger.
Full Janetti Barger.
Roger.
And last but not least, the Tricentennial Committee, and that is Mark.
I will continue on that committee. It's a lot of work. So if anyone's interested, they let me know. It's a little bit more than I thought it was going to be.
Such a good fit for you, though.
It's just gonna get more as it gets closer to
Connor?
2025. I can't help you.
There's two gentlemen in this room just dying to help somebody.
Way to sell it to him.
Yes, I will continue unless somebody else.
I nominate Mr. Lamb for the Tricentennial.
It's second Lamb.
All right, so that's Barger and Stebbins.
Stebbins Lamb.
Stacy Lamb.
Lamb.
Full Janetti Lamb.
Roger Lamb.
I wonder what would happen if we voted you in and you said no. That hasn't happened yet, so. All right, we are almost to the end of the agenda. The next item is the town administrator update on the municipal facilities replacement for police, fire, DPW in the schematic design phase.
Sure, thank you, Dottie. So just a brief update at this meeting. This is just standing practice for us at this point to keep this project on every select board agenda. If the event there's any questions from the board based on things we're hearing from constituents, any questions from the public, we will have a pretty comprehensive update on where the project stands with the owner's project manager and design team, along with other folks from municipal building committee at your next meeting on July 10th. That is on the eve of the first value management exercise of the municipal building committee on the 11th, which is more important and exciting than it sounds. But as folks may know, if you were on the school planning committee, we're at a point now where we do have schematic design estimates for the construction budget, and so MBC will be going through effectively an enormous spreadsheet in real time to identify any opportunities that there are to value out aspects of construction budget without damaging the programmatic project. Realistically, because the construction cost estimates came within, Jamie, I think 2% of each other. It's usually indicative that the design is pretty solid, and so I don't want to oversell that we're going to go through a value management exercise and shave off 10 million. Probably not. But we'll be looking to obviously have as maximally efficient of a project as we can with MBC. And so leading up to that, on the 10th, we'll come in, give an update on where those estimates are, as well as the roadmap for input sessions and listening sessions in August and September, along with, I don't know if we'll be ready by the 10th, but some point in July, relaunching the website to be cleaner, neater, easier to navigate for folks who want to learn about the project. Because this isn't the first time we've done this, we know that most folks are really going to engage once we get to talking about tax impact, which will be closer to August and September. And when folks do tune in, we want them to be able to, after saying, why is this project so expensive, go and look and say, oh, okay, we're trying to accomplish 150,000+ square feet of buildings, replacing, I don't know how you count, 4 to 12 buildings, all built before the end of the moon. So we have a lot going on. They're actually, the designers are at Conservation Commission tonight for our ANRAD filings to start hearing process and identifying where the wetland resource areas are, both for the 524 Depot Street property across from the S-curve, as well as Daly's Corner, which is the Stonehill property that we have a lease letter of intent executed for. That also should be coming forward hopefully in July, proper ground release report. So there's a lot of moving pieces coming together. So that's where we're at.
Great.
Any questions, Jamie? If I missed anything?
No,
It's the building committee,
Yeah.
which we need someone on. So we're actually trying to talk about geothermal and solar. So it'd be super cool for you to jump in.
Yeah, no, all things that I'm not currently involved in, but I think to a certain extent, I think solar's gonna wind up working its way into the lean network and things that we wind up doing over time. Geothermal, what we do through self-help, we're retrofitting existing buildings. It's not probably something that's cost effective or realistic that we're gonna get that far into geothermal. I do think that where the heat pumps that the town's obviously installed in this building and probably many others, I think the one thing that's gonna come down the road is we're gonna have heat pumps. They're gonna be able to service as heat pump boilers. So people who have existing hot water baseboard, they can probably get a heat pump put in that's gonna be able to suit the heating load of their house and utilize their existing heating distribution of the home. Whereas right now what we're doing is, if it's a furnace, then we can retrofit and you get both heating and air conditioning. Otherwise, we can either put in ductwork or something with the.
And I'd just like to say with Jason being here that regardless of what happens between now and July 11th, it'd be great if you would attend that meeting. In person, Dave's not here, probably at the DPW.
I'm not positive. I think
Actually,
the ones in person we've been doing here for those meetings so that we can
Yes, good point.
So
There's-
that may have both
It will
remote and
be
in-person capability.
It will be where we have remote capability, because now that because we do have members who won't be there that night, so that we'll be remote.
We want to have as much participation from the NBC as possible. And I believe the intent is, so there's value management on July 11th. We'll have numbers out there for a public event point, and then August 10th, I want to say, at some point in August, Municipal Building Committee has to actually vote the final project scope and budget, which is a major milestone and informs the final budgeting, debt analysis, tax impact analysis that we review with the board before you vote to call a special town meeting, which we probably ask you to do at your last meeting in August, and vote to call election for debt exclusion, which we probably ask you to do right after.
Excellent.
Just double check, the date is, it's August 1st.
August 1st.
Yep, Tuesday, August 1st, 6 p.m. both meetings.
So municipal building is the 11th, and the 1st, select board is July 10th. So that's where we're heading.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much. All right, next we have acceptance of the minutes dated June 12th, 2023.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Roger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Town administrator notes.
Just thank you to all of our board and committee members, both who continue to serve and who volunteered. Also, thank you for both of you for coming tonight and putting yourself out there. We'll definitely be in touch to see if there's other opportunities.
Excellent. Michael, anything for last assistant town administrator notes?
Just I'll miss you guys a lot. So thank you for everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And Select Board.
We will too. And now that you're in a much less pressure environment, your family's not right there, and you're not talking about that next step. So we're super excited for you, Michael. And again, I'm sure Dover will watch this meeting if they haven't already, and they'll hear all those things. But just let them know that they owe us one.
That's a good point.
Right? Just wanted to get it on record. They owe us
That's a
one.
real good point.
Yeah, and nothing other than just congratulations, Michael. So excited for you, even though it stings my heart a bit. But
I'd like to point out the Juneteenth celebration, remembrance, the Civil War rededication that occurred on this past Monday was a incredibly successful event. There was amazing speakers. Angela Clark spoke from RK. She shared some really vulnerable things that we all need to hear. It was an amazing event, and afterwards it was nice to see families together, to see Tom with his kids and his wife, and see everybody out and about, getting along and enjoying a bite to eat. The food trucks were really successful. It was a wonderful day. And of course, Mike, thank you for everything. I wish you the best.
That feels like it was a long time ago, Juneteenth. So I know. If anybody has the opportunity, it's worth watching on ECAT. They were there recording, and definitely take a look at that because there were some really powerful speeches. Craig?
What can I say, Michael? I'm probably quiet anyways, just to keep you in
No, we do.
moving up. But yeah, I think I'll echo what my colleagues have said. Dover's getting a gem. Let's hope they do watch this so they can see how strongly you've impacted us and this community. So thank you for that.
So I'll start with an update on the summer concert series. So the Cultural District has a summer concert series. We're going to be doing it again this year. It's on Wednesday nights, and it starts, they're at 7 o'clock. They're on the front of Oaks Ames Hall, and they're on Wednesday nights. So they start on July 12th. These were incredibly popular last year. Get there, there's food for purchase, there's pizza, there's ice creams, families go, kids go, older people, the gamut of ages. Bring a chair, and we have some really great bands. On July 12th, we have the Rose Conservatory is going to open it up. I'm not sure if anybody knows them, but they are an amazing performing group out of Brockton, and Greg Fernandez has opened this conservatory for young kids to help them learn about music, but also really about leadership, about just amazing things that they do. They do artwork, they do all kinds of things, and those little kids are going to open up for Tommy Raines, who is somebody that most people around here know. He does popular hits from the 60s through today. The next week, July 19th, is the Brocktones. They played last year, classic rock. The Pickpockets are on July 26th. They do acoustic country and alternative from the 60s. August 2nd, Rock Steady. Ooh, this is really weird. My type font is like going over each other on this. They're going to be there, and they bring a huge crowd with them. August 9th, Jack Colombo is going to be there, and let me see, what else do we have here? And then they end on August 16th with 4 in a row, and they do rock and roll from the 50s and 60s. So follow them on social media at the Shoveltown Cultural District. It's a great night out, and I also should not forget that Shoveltown Brewery is going to be there with beer and wine and sodas and water for purchase as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. Michael, if you have nothing to do on a Wednesday night, bring the family. And I'll still get to see you at the Mass Municipal thing, so you're not going to be going too far from us. And it was really a pleasure to work with you all these years, so I wish you well. And with that, any comments? Anybody else? Wrap it up? All right. Would you like to make a motion to adjourn, Craig?
So moved, Roger.
Second, Lynn.
Bodger and Lamb, all in favor? Unanimous. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks, ECAT.